And we should be live. So, good morning, Facebook, and welcome to this episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. This is the second year that we've been doing this, and we did change our format to some degree. We've narrowed it down to a 30-minute segment with a single guest rather than an hour-long segment with a pair of guests. And before we get too much further, I want to introduce our guest, or even let our guest introduce herself. With me, as always, is Kelly Dingens, the marketing director for the Core Finance Group. And Kelsey, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I hate actually doing intros about myself, so I'm going to keep it very short. My name is Kelsea Imanuel. I'm a Colorado native, and I live here in Denver with my husband and now my two French Bulldogs.
I'm glad you cleared that up because it was Kelsey with a Frenchie, not Kelsey with Frenchies.
Yes, and I've actually been asked that quite a bit. I'm not going to change it, but we are so excited about our new little addition.
Cool. And if memory serves through my usual social media digging, you're actually from Netherlands?
I'm from Netherlands, home of Frozen Dead Guy Day.
That's right, home of Frozen Dead Guy. I haven't been up there in several months, although I did spend some time up there over the summer and try to every summer. But that's certainly a different animal than Denver.
Yes, it certainly is. It certainly is, but it was the best place ever to grow up in. I started skiing when I was 3, and grew up in a really small community, and so it's one of those places where it's really great to live in, but you just got to get out. You got to grow.
And I assume you go back up there quite a bit.
Not as much as you'd be surprised. I actually go up to Summit County more than I probably go back to Ned.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there's not really any skiing in Ned.
Well, Eldora. There is
Yeah,
Eldora.
okay, I guess Eldora is. Okay, so there's a little skiing in Ned, but not like Summit County.
Right, not like Summit County.
All right. So I think that most of our viewership understands the general premise that our guests are real estate agents or loan originators that we find are doing really good work in either lead generation or social media, which obviously leads to lead generation, so on and so forth. And obviously, here, Kelsey, you're no example. So our audience is mostly real estate agents and loan originators, which is the idea here. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about what you do for lead generation. I really want to make sure that our audience gets an opportunity to learn about you, how you do business, who your clients are, what you like to do, what you dislike, those kinds of things. So why don't you give us a little background about how long you've been in, what company or companies you've been with, where you're at now, are you on a team, those kinds of things.
Yeah, so absolutely. So I just am embarking on my 4th year. My first year was actually up in Summit County. That's where I kind of started and jumped off of, if you will. And kind of rewind before I got my license, I started out as a office manager at Cypher Smith and Frampton Real Estate. So I got to see the back end. I did all the dirty work. I was, updating listings and kind of really got that block understanding ahead of time. And then I got an opportunity to become a personal assistant. So I switched companies and really got into listing agreements and listing photography and really being that backup person, if you will. So it took me a few years of like seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly before I even decided I wanted to get my real estate license. And then once I did, I spent my first year up in Summit County. It was split between real estate and a full-time job, which I'm sure a lot of people can kind of relate to, is that initial jump is pretty terrifying. So I kind of wavered back and forth. It was just pure chaos for me. Year 2, I moved down to Denver with my husband. We decided after 5 amazing years in the mountains, we decided it was really hard for us to grow, and it was going to be really hard for us to buy a house and like do life up there, aside from just being really fantastic ski bums. So we moved down to Denver. I jumped into real estate full time, and it deemed to be the worst year I ever had. And I spent entirely too much money on Zillow and switched brokerages about 3 times. So it was just like a very chaotic, awful transition, kind of. Coming from Summit, I had to come down and rebuild everything. I didn't know an inspector. I didn't know a loan officer. I didn't know anything, aside from, being from here. But it was a completely different business setup than the mountains. So that was a little bit of a rebuild. Last year was amazing. So I took that really really bad year, and kind of stepped back and rebuilt everything, came up with my brand, came up with my action plan, and then rocked out 2018. And here we are, the start of 2019, and I'm so excited.
That's fantastic. And there are a couple of things that you mentioned there that I really want for our audience to kind of pick up on. I want to reiterate so that it kind of drills in. I think one of the important things is that self-lead generation, good social media work, good video work, good contact management, good planning is one of the most important things that any of you can be doing. And that doing things like blowing your wad, as it were, on Zillow there's a time and a place for it. But I just want to make sure that our audience understands that there are a couple of really inherent issues with that. One is that internet leads are exactly that. And Zillow is real expensive stuff. And that Zillow is now your competitor, ladies and gentlemen. So you have actually been secretly funding the demise of your own practice. Please stop doing it. Simple as that. So you had also mentioned really that you had put together a really kick-ass plan for 2018. Tell us what you did in 2018 that was unique, new, different, that falls under that kick-ass category, as you put it.
Yeah, so when I was rebuilding and I switched brokerages 3 times, I would get new email signatures from each new brokerage. And so people would reach out and be like, oh, Kelsey, I see you moved again. And so that's when I had this moment where I was like, it's not necessarily about the company I'm working with, it's me. At the end of the day, it's my business. So that's where I built Kelsey with Frenchie. And I'm such a huge proponent about people creating a brand that resonates with you. For me, I mean, everywhere I went, my dog was like, she was a magnet. And I was like, girlfriend, you need to get to work for me. So that's when I kind of built my Kelsey with a Frenchie. I wanted my own brand. I wanted my own branding. I wanted to kind of build my own empire, if you will. So once I kind of built that, I decided, and I'm sure you can kind of relate with this, is there's so many different social media platforms. I mean, you can get lost in trying to find one. So I decided I was going to spend all of my time and effort in Instagram and only Instagram. I didn't want to kind of half tackle Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Pinterest. So I spent all of my energy on Instagram, and I worked on creating my content. So essentially I kind of have buckets of like what I want to do every day. So it's not hard work for me. And from that, I've built this community, and it's amazing. I'm meeting people. I create, of course, leads from there. And again, I'm not paying Zillow, and it's so much easier to make genuine connections with people than to try to be that squirrel chasing the shiny things with the online leads.
Brilliant. There are a couple of things in there that I really want to talk about, because we do cover it quite a bit. One, the dog. My dog is in the office most days. She's not here today for other reasons, but she's been in our weekly video blog. Obviously, she's a magnet of sorts at the dog park. She's really a solid employee when it comes to lead generation. And our Insta even has a core dog section for the Insta stories. So yeah, for those of you watching, listening, your pets can be great allies. I guarantee you, Kelsey deeply connects with other French Bulldog owners when they come across one another. And this is the kind of stepping stone to building a relationship, making it deeper, eventually turning those people into clients and then into referral sources, and this whole snowball idea of lead generation for a repeat and referral business. So if you guys still aren't believing what I'm saying about your dog needs to be on your payroll, put your dog on your payroll. This obviously makes for a big deal.
Whatever it is that you resonate with. You know, I had a great conversation with an agent who's up in northern Colorado, and she does a lot of horse properties, and she's a horse fanatic. And I'm like, use your horse. Like, whatever it is that resonates with you, build on that. Like, you've gotta live your brand. I mean, I drink out of a Frenchie coffee mug. I've got a Frenchie necklace. I walk my French Bulldog. I mean, it's just, everything is Frenchie for me. And so, you know, whatever it is, do it 100%.
Yeah, find your tribe. If you're a vegan, find your tribe. If you're a CrossFitter, find your tribe. No question. So that is fantastic stuff. Although, to be perfectly honest, it's fun, it's entertaining, and that's certainly the point and purpose of our show here. But the second point that I think you made that's really far more important from a business perspective, and we talked about it with our guest last week, Andrew Cady, who's a loan originator in Florida, and we've had the conversation a number of times. You guys need to be really careful about your mindset on who you work for, because you don't work for Keller Williams, you don't work for RE/MAX, you don't work for Metro Brokers, you work for your clients, and for your branding. You need to promote you. You need to promote your team, not that Keller Williams, RE/MAX, Metro Brokers, whatever, because if Kelsey wants to take her operation, Kelsey with a Frenchie, and unplug it from her current company and move it over and plug it in at another company, nothing changes. Her website, her email, her contact database, her branding, her audience, her clients, nothing skips a beat because she's doing it that way. So again, thank you, Kelsey, because we're reiterating something that we here find ridiculously important. I mean, I've laced into some of my colleagues about this. They're branding their mortgage company that they just moved to. They have a team, and if they ever decide that that company isn't the right fit for them, they can promote their team. And this is exactly what our guest last week had talked about, and we've talked about in past episodes. So all right, sorry about that, Facebook audience. Well, since it's live video, social media loves live organic content. Nothing more organic or original than having a computer crash while you're streaming a live video show. So before the IT issues arose, we were talking about how important it is to really be focused on you, your team, your own individual branding, your own email, your own database, your own website, so that in the event that you want to change companies, the general public, your audience, your clientele, all of the above, don't know that it occurred. You never miss a beat that way. So for those of you now watching the second half, if you weren't tuned into the first half, then by all means, go check that out, because that is absolutely an important piece of the subject. And I promise, Kelly, when we're done here, we'll merge these two segments together into one video so that there isn't that 5-minute gap that we just experienced. All right, so we're going to run a little long here today, folks, because of that, so bear with us, but we certainly want to make sure that our guest, Kelsey, has enough time to speak her mind about who she is and what she does and how her business operates. So those are very big things that you had revelations about in 2018. Kelsey, tell us what's on the slate for 19, because those are two absolutely brilliant subjects that we should all know. We ignore, we forget, we need to be reminded, kicked in the ass, whatever. So tell us what's in store for you for 2019.
Well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. I'm just
okay, fair enough. Today's a good day to die.
Yes, it is. So 2019 is just going to kind of snowball off of 2018. So for me, that means kind of continuing my Instagram growth. When I was rebuilding, and I'm sure you probably ran into this a lot, I had a lot of interactions with fellow realtors and colleagues who were like, we need listings, there's no inventory. And I actually had the exact opposite approach. I was like, give me all the buyers, like bring them all to me. I love them, I want to work with them. So that's actually where I kind of found my niche. And when I was a newer agent, I was like, oh my God, niching, that's terrifying. What if I miss out on business? And I'm like, ugh. It naturally just happened. And so for 2019, it's just going to kind of continue that process. I'm not out there scouting for listings. That's not my jam. If they come to me in an organic way, I'm all about it. But I'm more focused on my buyers, and I just love them. That's my jam. And niching, yay for niching. Who would have thought?
So, and I think that there are a couple of important pieces to that, and I want you to kind of elaborate on your niche, but I think part of what you're driving at, and that we talk about quite frequently as well, is that niching might mean being involved in a certain group, like what we talked about with the French Bulldogs or the vegans or dog owners or horse lovers, people that specialize in horse property, whatever. But to really not just be middle of the road. Yes, I work with buyers. Yes, I work with sellers. Yes, I work in Castle Rock. Yes, I work in North Glen, because I'm very vanilla. Which I think that middle of the road vanilla mentality and attitude and personality repels more than being niche-y would attract.
Yes.
I really do think, for those of you watching, that Kelsey's really onto something else here, that being niche-y, whether it's who you are, what you're into, how you do your work, what markets you work in, whether you work with buyers or sellers, etc., is actually going to attract more business than you should be repelling or have the fear of repelling because you're trying to do it all, or because you're very middle of the road, or because you're vanilla. So stop being boring. Be more like Kelsey. All right.
Yes, do you and create value. Always, whatever you do, you gotta be coming from that mindset of, am I creating value, right? Anything you do. That's.
So other than Bulldogs and buyers, tell us what being in a niche means to you.
Yeah, so, and you kind of vaguely touched on it, is, and I tell my buyers this, right? We initially cast a really big net when we're looking for a house. And then through this process of elimination, you naturally just come to what it is that makes you excited. And that's kind of how you hone in on what it is that makes you excited. And so when I first started, I was exhausting myself because I was just like, I'm here, I'm a realtor in Denver. And then now it's like, specifically, I want to be relocation, I want millennials, and I want first-time home buyers. So not only am I just, hey, I want buyers, but this is my specific group. So now everything I do from a marketing standpoint, from social media, from whatever it is that I'm doing, those are the people that I want to attract. Like, sure, I'll work with, some 55-year-old who maybe are looking to size down. Of course I'm going to work with them, but really I love millennials and I love young people. And so from finding this niche, it's actually made my marketing portion of it easier. It made my overall lead generation easier, because now I'm focused. Now I know exactly who I'm going after and exactly what those people want, and how am I going to give that to them.
Okay, that's pretty smart stuff. This is really an impressive conversation. I've got to say that over a year of doing this and having a number of guests on our show, I really like that you and I have some real synonymity about how to do this, how to generate leads, how to do your branding, how to make sure you're representing your operation, not some faceless giant company, just on and on. So this is really good stuff. Okay, so, and I know that you aren't really big into self-promotion, and that we, typically ask people to shy away from it in general anyway. Nobody's doing good social media work talking about how they're the best agent out there, or they're the loan originator with the lowest rates out there. And if they are, the general audience can see through that shit. There's no question. And it's not helping your business. But Kelsey, I'm going to ask you to stray from your path, that path. Really give us some insight as to who your ideal client is, who you want to work with, and really why our audience should be in your clients, leads, advocates database, because they want to work with you. They want to refer business to you. Tell us why those facts exist.
Yeah, so first off, when you get onto Instagram or any social media and you Google realtors, most of them have, they're under contracts, they're sold, the people holding the signs. While I love all of that, I barf in my mouth every time I see it. So for me, if all the realtors are going this way, I'm going to go the exact opposite, because I don't, kind of like you touched on it, I don't want to be vanilla. I don't want to be doing what everybody else is doing, because how does that make me stand out? For me, again, going back to my first-time home buyers, I teach classes on a monthly basis, which has been, home buyer classes are not a new thing. I just kind of reworded it in a different way to attract my millennials and my young people. to be honest with you, I hate networking, small talk, and being in a room with a bunch of other realtors. It's just not my jam. So it kind of goes back to authenticity of me doing me. At the end of the day, if you don't like dogs and you don't like Colorado, we're probably not going to connect, and that's quite okay. Because what I'm putting out there is what I want to come back. I want those people who are new to Denver, who need somebody to help navigate through. I'm born and raised here, so I know it so well. And I've connected, like we talked about, you know, having those dog people, having those crazy Frenchie people out there. That's my tribe. That's who I attract. And so at the end of the day, I just like to do things a little bit differently. I will never, I mean, it's always good to brag. It's good to share your success, but that's just not really who I am. My biggest thing is what can I do to provide value? Whether it's showing a happy hour that I just went to, or where to get the best dog treats, or, hey, this house is super cool, check it out. Not, hey, give me a call if you want a private tour. It's just getting out there and being your authentic self and not selling people all the time. Younger people like myself, the millennial generation, we hate to be sold to. We just want somebody that we can connect with, somebody that's real, and somebody who's really good at what they do.
I think that's really brilliant. That's
it's simple. It's so simple. That's the thing. It's just it's easy to be yourself.
Well, that's certainly true, but you're kind of leveraging the experiences you have, the knowledge you have, the results you got by being in those people's shoes, and translating it to an even greater degree of how can I help these people so that they either experience the positive things that I have, evade the negative ones I did. I mean, a real learn from my mistakes kind of mentality. So it probably pays dividends to the buyers that are working with you, because they get the ability to navigate through waters that you've already mapped out. And you've done it fairly recently. You've done it multiple times, so that experience is fresh, that knowledge base is fresh. I mean, we all know that the average real estate agent is, you know, well into their 60s. It's obviously a lot of second career type of stuff. And again, well, for those of you that have either caught or are going to catch our weekly video blog for agents that we published this morning, I'm never going to judge you on how you do your work. I'm only going to judge you if you're not doing the work or if you're doing it half-assed. But the work, the lead gen, the client interaction, the attraction is different for you. It's fresher, it's more modern, and it really ties well to what people are having to deal with today.
Yes. I mean, it's scary. Buying your first house is terrifying. You gotta, you know, you gotta be the pro, and at the end of the day, do what you say you're gonna do and give it 100%. You know, I've run into a lot of people that maybe don't give it 100%, and it is frustrating. But that's how you stand out, is you be the 1% that's hustling every day and you're working your ass off and you're doing what you need to do. You know, anybody wants to come into this business, it's the best decision I ever made, but it's also the most amount of work I've ever done in my life. You know, I'm working 7 days a week. I pick up my phone at 9 o'clock at night when I'm watching the Kansas City game, where I was on the edge of my seat. I'm working through inspection objections. You know, it's just showing up every single day and doing you 100%.
Just because I'm curious, and I'll bet a ton of our audience is curious as well. You talked about homebuyer classes, educating first-timers, and obviously it's something that's been done for decades. Some people have some great success with it, some don't. I think there's a certain mindset and mentality about the clientele it attracts, which is then a result of the clientele that those former clients refer, so on and so forth. But tell us how that breaks down. What is it you're educating people on? How do you see that translating into you attracting more buyers, first-time home buyers in this case, and what that looks like, and maybe this is projection because you don't know yet, what that looks like for those clients referring more clients?
Sure. So I hate the word seminar. I think anybody younger slithers back and they're like, "Ooh, seminar. I'm not gonna go to So my presentation is called "You're Paying How Much for Rent," because I'm literally such a proponent about the ridiculous amount of money people pay for rent in Denver. And I'm like, you guys could have a house, you could be building equity. Like, real estate is a vessel, it's a tool, utilize it. And most people don't know how to utilize it. So that's kind of where I built my my presentation off of, is helping these young people take their mortgage and turn it into, or pardon me, take their rent and turn it into their mortgage. So by doing that, by kind of centering it around the rental scene, that's exactly who I'm attracting. I'm attracting young people. I'm attracting people who are paying way too much money in rent. I will be totally honest with you. There will be times when nobody shows up and me and my good friend are drinking by ourselves at the bar. And then there'll be times when, you know, two people come, but those two people become two buyers, and you're like, well, that was a really good use of my time. So it's you just really never know. For me, it was terrifying to get out there and like come up with a presentation and market it and be in front of these people talking about it. But obviously, the more you do it, the better you get, the more laid back you get. But for me, you know, my vision, my niche, my market, that's where that kind of concluded, where it came to a head. I'm like, why am I not doing this? This is so silly. So I just kind of restructured the word seminar and kind of made it stick to my branding, stick to my tribe, if you will.
And well, and don't get me wrong, I am absolutely of the mindset, and I'm hoping most of our brethren, most of the real estate agents, most of the loan originators, mortgage originators out there understand this same kind of mindset that renting is heinous.
That's awful.
Yeah, the interest the interest rate on rent is 100%, you know, versus 4 on your mortgage or whatever it's going to be. You're not building any equity. I mean, there's so many reasons. And of course, I think one of the bigger points right now in our market in particular, for those of you that are here in the Denver area, although I'll bet this holds true in most major metropolitan areas, is that you could own that place that you're renting for less money per month.
Yes.
And build some equity and have more tax deductions, and I mean, the list of things that is of benefit for a homeowner versus a renter is, we could probably come up with a highlight of the top 10, 25, 100. But yeah, I hope that message that you want to give to the people attending this workshop, I don't want to call it a seminar. That's obviously the kiss of death. We're not calling anything a seminar. I hope the people attending are getting that message, because there's a lot of, you can lead a horse to water issues with the general consumer, with the general renter, so on and so forth. Do you find big hurdles that way?
Not necessarily. I'm not going to stand up there and say, hey, use me to buy your house. I'm going to stand up there and say, here are the facts. Here's what's going on with the Denver market. Here's how you can utilize CHAPA. Here are all these resources. Use them how you want or not, and then reach out if you have questions. And by having such a laid back approach to it, you just naturally gain trust. It goes back again to being sold to. I'm just here to give you the facts. You know, the age-old saying, we provide, you decide. I'm just giving you everything I know, and you can take it in whatever direction that you want to go with it. But it's just going back to education. People just don't know. You know, we as real estate agents, we as loan originators, we're in this business every day. We forget that a lot of people are terrified of the process. They have no idea where to start with the process. And sure, the fact is they might know 10 agents, but do they connect with any of those 10 people? Who knows?
Do they have French Bulldogs?
Right. Do they have French Bulldogs? If they do, we're probably going to connect, because I'm going to run across the street to pet their dog, and they're going to run across the street to pet mine. So, you know, it's just being an educator and looking at the bigger picture.
Okay. So, and I know that this is, you've obviously got a lot of great foresight. You put some good things into play in 17 that paid dividends for you in 18, and you're doing it now for 2019. Do you have any concerns about the eventual repeat and referral business when it comes to all this effort with first-time home buyers, knowing that a first-time home buyer may not qualify for $1 million properties, may very well need down payment assistance? You had mentioned that you were giving them some resources about CHAFA, hopefully some other sources, CHAC and the Douglas County Housing Partnership and Aurora Hope and all of those. But we all know that a person is the direct reflection of the people they spend the most time with, or a mashup of the people they spend the most time with. Do you have any concerns going forward 5 years, for example, that all of your referral business is these first-time home buyers? I mean, are you playing the existing clients with, and I don't mean playing in that sense, but that they're going to be move-up buyers, that they're going to refer friends, family, colleagues, and that you're kind of building this in a pyramid of sorts to, at some point where, your ideal clientele, the majority of your client base is somebody who's not a first-time home buyer, somebody who's, liquidating that house that you helped them get. They've got $100,000 in equity. They're going to put it down on a $500,000 home, etc. I mean, tell us how your map looks for the next 5 years when your efforts are so thick on first-time home buyers.
Yeah, so I'm probably the most social introvert you'll ever meet. So I'm going out to happy hours with past clients probably every single day, every week, because these first-time home buyers who I've sold to have then become my friends. I had one couple that we went to their wedding last year, and we do Friendsgiving and frequent happy hours. So I keep really close connections with all of my people because I'm friends with all of them. Well, not all of them, 99% of them. And a good example is my good friends Liz and Dan. They moved here 2 years ago. They literally, we had 2 days to look at houses. It was crazy. They bought a house, yada, yada, yada. Now they're relocating to Washington, D.C. And because I've stayed in contact with them, because they are such good friends of mine, they picked up the phone and they said, hey, Kelsey, A, can you list our house because we love you, we know you, we like you, and B, can you connect us with a realtor in DC because, oh my God, we're moving to a new place. Yes, we've already bought a home before, but we're in a new location. We have no idea what's going on. So it really, for me, is about creating those relationships, solidifying those relationships, because all of my first-time home buyers, yes, in a couple years, maybe 5 years, will need to move up. But in 5 years, I mean, I've done the process 5 years, you're going to be, again, a first-time home buyer all over again, because the process is not something everybody does on a daily basis. So I'm not worried about it. It's all about connection. It's all about staying in touch with people and knowing that those first-time home buyers become your friends, maybe sellers in the future, that you can maybe, help them find a new house, or if they're relocating, get them connected with another great realtor elsewhere, and then everybody kind of wins through that cycle. So for me, I'm excited. I'm like the airplane. I'm taking 90% of my fuel to take off, right? I'm working my ass off right now, and I'm going to get to a point where I'm just going to be coasting, and it's going to be effortless for me. And so I'm kind of in that trajectory right now of like, I'm building all of this stuff, and it's going to get to a point where it's going to be so easy, and I won't have to use 90% of my fuel to work every single day.
That's brilliant. Okay. So, and again, I think one of the important points, and well, you didn't say it directly, you're obviously implying it. So for our audience, you guys, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not a job, it's a career. So what you're seeing here is that Kelsey is laying groundwork for things that are going to pay dividends for her next year, and in 3 years, and in 10 years, and maybe even in 20 years, based on the efforts she's taking today. And she knows that her job is eyes open, eyes closed, 7 days a week, and that it won't always be that way. That there'll be other Kelseys working for Kelsey, and so on and so forth. So there's a legit structure here that I want to make sure you guys all understand. She knows there's no magic potion. She knows there's no unicorn, that she's going to have to work hard for several years, maybe more, to really build what she wants to build. And she's got to have some foresight to make sure that the efforts she's putting in, and it is a lot of effort that she's putting in today, is going to pay those dividends in 2020 and in 2025, so on and so forth. So I hope you guys really heard that portion of what she's putting together. All right, Kelsey, before we let you go, I want to apologize to you and certainly to all of our audience for our little IT issue. No. For everyone's benefit, I think what we'll do is we'll probably merge the two videos together and do a live stream rebroadcast. Don't ask how we do it. It's magic, and we'll try to do it from a computer that won't crash. And Kelsey, before we let you go, give us the highlights. Again, who you want to work with and how they can reach you.
Yeah, so who I want to work with, I want to work with I'll work with anybody, but I really love those new to Denver people. So if you're relocating or if you're new to Denver and you have no idea where to start, or maybe you're looking for your first home, if you're a dog lover, if you're a Colorado lover, let's connect. You can get a hold of me anywhere on the internet, like any other realtor. I'm all over the place, but specifically my heart and soul is in my Instagram page. So go follow me. We can connect on so many different levels, and you'll see Bulldog photos and maybe some Colorado stuff as well. My handle is Kelsey with a Frenchie. So yeah, go find me and reach out if you have questions. I always love to connect with people. So if you're here in Denver and you have questions or want to connect, please reach out. I'm always in. I love lunch. Fun fact about Kelsey. We can go grab lunch. We can chat. It's a community, and by having a community feel, we all grow bigger. So let's not be competitors. Let's be friends. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Oh, no, we were happy to do it. Kelly, anything you want to add in summation? Anything we should wrap up with?
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
I will move my computer really quick just so you can see. Nellie right there. She's my assistant is hardly working, as they say.
I want her job.
Yeah, I do too.
All right.
I do too. Me both.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Again, we apologize for the IT issues. We'll make sure that everybody gets a uncut version of this as soon as we can get it out later today. And Kelsey will obviously get you a merged copy to use in your social media work. So thanks for watching How I Met Your Mortgage. And tune in next week, again, Monday morning at 10:30 Mountain Time. And all of you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that's off of Facebook. I will